system. You can find this at vccryptonation.com, and there is a full welcome video on the YouTube channel at vccryptonation. But to find all the information you need, you can go to vccryptonation.com. But let me explain here the fundamentals of the system we teach and why and how it is successful. Because after dealing with traders for the last 15 years based on knowledge, time, expertise, levels, and all those things, up to crypto in 2021 with mild experience, medium experience, and then now with no experience. Every time people lose, it isn't the systems, it isn't the Elliott waves, the gamma waves, the Fibonacci's. It is simply the person. If you are an emotional trader, you will never be a profitable trader. Okay? Systematic traders are the only way to win, right? See, humans fail, systems don't. This is why we've created systems and everything in our life that is successful. Because systems work because they're non-emotional, they're systematic. You know what you're going to get in a system, and the results are the same, right? And then once you have a system, you can then manipulate the system to improve it and add changes to a system to make it better over time. And this is how you learn to be profitable or just win at anything that you're doing, by creating a system that shows you how to win. There's a saying that says, learn how to make $1, do it 1,000,000 times. Now, most people hear that and say, well, I mean, if I could make $1, if I do it 1,000,000 times, I'd be a millionaire. Well, only 5% of the population understand that and do it, while the other 95% say, man, it's only $1. But you can improve the dollar system to make it $10 so that your million comes faster, $10 to $100 so it comes even 10 times faster, or $100 to $1,000 so now it comes 10 times faster than that mark. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to this: systematic trading is the only way to trade, and if you're not trading systematically, you are simply going to lose. So let's break this down so when you come here, you're not confused on what you're supposed to do. The Making Trading Easy system, worst student, right? The reason why we cover the worst student is because a system is only as good as its worst output, right? That's the best it is. At its worst, that is the one thing that you can guarantee, right? And in trading, what you need is guarantees, right? People talk about risk versus reward, right? Well, you have to understand what is the worst possible outcome in order to understand what your loss will be, because you can't judge off anything else except the worst moment. And things are only as good as their worst. Like, your team is only as strong as its worst link or weakest link. Your this is only this, based on this. It's always the weakest link, the worst player. Like, you are as good as your worst, right? So this is the Making Trading Easy system with its worst. Okay, so first of all, we have a system built on a $1,000 trade. Okay, $1,000 trade, meaning every trade you do, this would be based on $1,000 per trade. 10 trade system, worst case, worst trader goals. The reason why it's a 10 trade system is because this is also based on not over trading, waiting for systematic trades to happen. And in the worst case, worst possibility, the trades that we're waiting for will only occur 5 times a week per coin, right? Whether you're trading Ethereum, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Solana like we do, every coin that's worth trading will have the worst case scenario of creating what we call A trades and B trades, literally just 10 or 5 times a week, right? So A trades come around 5 times a week on the worst trading options, right, the worst possibilities, you will only get 5. Now, will there be times that A trades happen and 10 times a week? Yes. Will there be able to get good B trades based on the time of the trading cycle, what time of the year, where trades go for higher gains, more volume, people investing, FOMO, all the the good times, the times that you see crazy gains in crypto? Yes, but none of that matters, because what you have to have is a system that will work in the worst times. So the worst times will produce 5 trades that you can do every single week, no matter what your lifestyle is, your time, when you can get, ability to trade, whether you're trading on your phone, whether you're trading wherever you're doing, you will get 5 opportunities. And that's because there are 20 trades that happen every single week. But you're not going to get all 20. You're not going to get half of that. See, we work on the 50-50 rule, right? What's 50-50 rule? 50-50 rule is take the average of what happens, right? It's called the law of average, meaning that every time you flip a coin, there will be so many heads and so many tails. Every 100 times that you flip that coin, you will get the same results. Just like when you flip 10 times, you will get the same result. There'll be an average, right? Take the average, cut that in half. That's the 50 rule. Now, let's say that you get 5 heads and 5 tails every time you flip a coin 10 times. Cut that in half. That means 2.5 times every 10 times you will get heads. Now, 50-50 that's the average is 5. Half of the average, which is worst case scenario, right? Or basically an under producing average would be half of that, which is 2.5, right? That is mostly considered the worst case scenario. But we go a step further and we do 50% of that, so 1.25, right? Meaning that every time you flip a coin, you will win 1.25 in heads. This is guaranteed. This will happen every time. You could bet your life 1 million, 2 million, 3 million times you will hit that number, guaranteed, because it is half of the worst case scenario. And when you operate in a systematic movement to where you're doing half of the worst case scenario, then you are guaranteeing yourself that even in the worst case scenario, you will be successful, right? In the average bad scenario, you will double. And if you actually have slight improvements here and there, then you will flourish. But we don't care about flourishing. We care about is the worst case scenario. So this is how it breaks down. Now that you understand that we trade systematically and everything that we do is based systematically. So here's how it goes. You have a $1,000 trade. You do 10 trade system, which means 5 trades a week, an average of 10 trades per 2 weeks, which equals 20 trades a month. Now here is a breakdown of your 10 trades. So if you do a $1,000 trade, right, you can see here, $1,000 trade, and you get a 60% gain on average, that is $600. Now, fees on exchanges cost when you do leverage. The average cost on any exchange is 10%, meaning that for every 1,000 that you do, you're going to pay $100. Now, if you use different exchanges, it does get cheaper. For instance, we use only BitNex because those exchange fees get cut down to 6% and even down to 3%, and eventually there's ways to get them down even lower. But like I said, this is worst case scenario, so we're going to keep it at 10 and saying that, on our BitNex exchange, you're paying twice as much than anyone else is paying, or sometimes 3 times more. But the worst case scenario is what we're going to focus on. So we're going to just take 10% just to keep everything focused as far as the worst case scenarios. So on a $1,000 trade, you're going to pay $100 in fees. So if you make 60% on that, that is a $600 gain minus fees. That's why we have AF after fees. It's $500. Okay. Now, let's take this and say the average, or statistically, right? And let's see if Google even has this up here. So you go to Google and okay, so Google, what is the average let's go with what is the average amount of trades won by retail investors out of 100 trades? Let's see what comes up with that. Okay. There's no universal agreed upon average amount of trades won for retail investors, but studies suggest that the win rate is low, with some suggesting only about 20 to 36% of day traders are profitable at all. For every 100 trades, retail investors can expect to win significantly less than half, as factors like emotional trading costs often lead to losses and losses after fees. Now, I can't really make this up. This is just AI printing all its data. So if you type this in, your answer could change. But this is interesting. So we'll just slide through this here. So why is it hard to get an exit number? So varying strategies. Retail investors use diverse strategies from long-term investing, active day trading, making a single average impossible, high cost. After accounting for commissions and other fees, many traders appear to be profitable on paper, become unprofitable in reality. Emotional trading. Day trading often involves trading on emotions, which can lead to poor decisions and high losses. Absolutely true. The rule of 90. The statistics suggest that 90% of novice traders lose money, heightening the difficulty of consistent profitability. Okay, what this means for retail investors is focus on risk management. Instead of focusing on the number of winning trades, prioritize risk management techniques to protect your capital. Successful trading requires discipline, strategy, and patience, not just the quick wins. Understand your cost. Beware of trading fees, and they can significantly reduce your net profit. Continuous learning. Keep learning and redefining your trading techniques to improve your odds of success. This is dope, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to actually put that into my Discord because I love AI. This is I teach and been explaining this for a decade. This is amazing. This is exactly what I say all the time. I've never heard of the rule of 90, right? But yeah, there you go. So let's just break this down. I want to see something. I'm going to say 10 trades. Okay. There's no exact average. Okay. Win success rates trading often falling below 50%. Some researchers suggest, let's see what this says. And let me just take this moment here, and I'm just going to make sure I keep this. This is pretty good here. Indicates that rates 50%. Some researchers that the vast majority of retail traders, around 90% or more, ultimately lose money, and even those make profits may not win accountability. Varying strategy. Different trading strategies have different win rates. Okay, a low win rate can still be profitable. Right? Listen to this. This is awesome. A low win rate can be profitable if the rewards on the winning trade significantly outweigh the losses. This is amazing. This is exactly what I'm about to teach. Market conditions. The success of retail investors also influenced by the overall market environment, which I just covered. Focus on profitability, not just wins, which I always teach. This AI speaks exactly what I say. It must be intelligent. I'm telling you right now. Don't focus solely on number of winning trades. This is all going literally into my Discord as if this is what I say. Most day traders lose money. Okay, so traders' overall success depends on profitable combination of win rate and risk to reward ratio. Boom. That's the most important part right there. Okay, so let's get back to the system. I'm dumbfounded right now by how accurate AI actually was right there. So I'm not too much into the AI world as far as like, yeah, that was incredible. That's a great answer. Okay, so now let's get back to the making trading easy system. I'm actually going to use that as a promo moving forward. That was fantastic. But here it is. So this is where $1,000 a trade, 10 trade system, worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario is you can see here that the first 5 trades are winning trades, right? And you can see here up to number 5, right? We have that the first 5 trades are basically where you win. So you have $1,000 trade, 60% gain, $600 after fees, $500. You repeat this cycle 5 times, and you get to the point where you have a number there, right? Let's see here. Oh, actually, you know what? I just a little bit different here. Let's see, 5, 5, 15. Okay, so let me fix this right here. So this is 50-50. Okay, when you have a system and you have a structure, you can easily win 50%. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because day traders or new traders that learn on YouTube, learn from, retail invest, all the stuff that's already out there, not a system that is actually used, practiced, and has what we have, right? What I've built over the last 10 years. But this is just you being normal, learning what you've already learned without any advancement, even any help or any real successful techniques and systematic things that you're going to learn in the Making Trading Easy system. This is you being the worst student, right? It's 50% of the wins, right? 50% wins, 50% losses, right? And the systematic, how they were saying here, which is amazing, a trader's overall success depends on profitability combination of win rate and risk to reward ratio. Okay, now when we take a look here, and we can see that we have it here where we are going for an average of 60% in gains. Okay, and we have an average here of our $1,000 trade doing a 20% loss, meaning our stop losses are set at like 18, 19, 20%. We lose 200. Fees are still included, so we add that $100 in fees, so it's a loss of 300. Now, when you add this up, the 5 wins, right, at $500 after fees is $2,500. Your average losses, right, without making any changes, doing anything you're supposed to do, any steps that we teach you on how to actually minimize these losses and cut these in half. Remember, we're doing worst case scenario, meaning you set it, forget it. You never advance, you never get better, you do our basic system, and this is all you do, and you are the most average learning person that has ever existed in the history of Making Trading Easy. This will be what happens. Your losses are $300, $600, $900, $1,200, $1,500. When you do all that, you put it together, that means your profits are a plus $1,000 per 10 trades. You are going to average 5 trades a week, which is 20 trades a month, and this is 25% of what you could possibly do and only doing one coin. Remember, you can always do multiple coins, so that opens up to where if you did 2 coins, you could do 40 trades. Or if you did 2 coins, you're definitely going to get your 20. No matter what, you're going to get 20 trades, and that's why we focus on the 20 trades. Okay, 20 trades a month system. That's $2,000 a month, $1,000 every 10 trades. 20 trades a month, that's times 2, that's 2,000. If you did this while you were learning how to trade, if it took you an entire year, right, and this is all you did, it's $24,000 per year, okay, and the best part is, that is per, I'll put this on the next level, per coin, okay, and what that basically means is, you can easily move this up if you were trading more than one coin. Like we focus our system with our students on just trading Solana, but you can also add Doge. You can also add there's a bunch of other coins that we can add. And this $24,000, this is bare minimum. This is you doing one coin, not advancing, being so basic, keeping it very simple. $24,000 a year. And this is with you losing the average of the system that already exists from statistics on the 90% rule, basically on everyone that's been trading over the last 20 years. Okay? Now with new technology, new indicators, new systems, new conditions, a I mean, we just have so many things that are more, that average that you're getting into is going to be better than 50% here just because of evolution. But we're going to go to the worst case scenario and say you haven't evolved, there is no extra stuff, there is no help. This is a basic system, 5 out of 5. If you just understand, if you had a strategy, if you just followed a basic routine of being systematic over emotional. So if you can just be systematic over emotional, this is it. And considering that 50% is based on people trading emotional, which means you should improve 50% on this, meaning you should average 7 out of 10 wins, and probably 8 out of 10, but we'll say 7. You should average 7 out of 10 trades just by removing emotions alone, right? So let's forget all that greatness. Now let's just go, you're the worst trader in the world, okay? $24,000 a year to learn, right? And there's all variations on how to make this more or make it happen more or do more to this. But that is the overall, I'm going to learn to trade. I want a system that can teach me how to trade. I want to be in a systematic trading group that can show me, if I'm the worst person here, following a systematic trade, why I learn for the next year. How much will that cost me? Well, it costs you time and effort, and it will make you $24,000 a year. This is why Making Trading Easy system is the way to go. And what I teach, you're learning, I guarantee you're learning from the best system out there based on the best rational thinking, systematic design that you are going to ever come across. This is the #1 trading system, and I will put it up against any other trading system, even AI, and show you that this is the greatest system ever. Because my results are based on the worst case scenario. Now that we got that out the way, now you know what you can expect from Making Trading Easy system. And to get yourself signed up, you simply go to VC Crypto Nation, go to the YouTube, find the welcome video, walk through that systems. Now, let's cover what would happen if you moved over and you had the Making Trading system worst student learning curve, okay? Meaning, at some point, as a human being, you possibly learn something, improve. This is what we can expect. This is the lowest level trader that we encounter, and this is our 90%, okay? 90% of students in the system will fall into this category, okay? Very simple, right? And this is basically going off this new 90% rule, right? And so this is what we can expect based on the averages, the law of average, all the data that already exists, AI just explaining to me the average, the 90% rule, and all those good things. So this would be that rule, okay? So this is how it goes. So possibilities, right? This is move gains on 2 trades to 90%, right? Versus 60. Okay? And that's just basically on 2 of the 5 trades, right? You're not winning any more trades. That's just on 2 of the 5 trades over here. Instead of 60% gains, you get an extra 30 on just 2 of those trades, okay? Which is easy to do because on our trades, we average 60 to 120% per gain. So taking the middle ground of 90 shouldn't be hard to do on A trades, right? The best master trades, right? When they happen, you should be able to skip out at least 2 out of 5 for 90, right? That's plus 30%. equals 250 extra, $250 extra, and that's after fees, times 2 trades, an extra 500 bucks. Now, if you win one more trade, right, one more trade going from 5 out of 10 to 6 out of 10, right, meaning that you are slightly better than the average retail investor. And this is by removing emotions, trading a system, and having some sort of ability to learn. You remove one loss at a negative 300, adding 30% more, right? Okay, so let's cover this. Removing one loss, which would normally be minus 300, okay, which basically, at that point, adding one more win at, what's a win? One more win would be 60%, which would be 500. Okay. So adding one more win, right? Which means that instead of a negative 300, you would be adding one more win at 60%. Nothing, not even the 90%. At 60%, adding one win at 60% is going to, after fees, equal an additional, right? You're removing 300. You're adding a win at 60%, which is plus 500, right? This makes a, so you're going to add 500 after fees. You're going to minus 300. That adds $800. Okay. This makes $800 more there you go. So that makes an $800 gain. Okay. Now, adding 30% more, which is times 2 trades, that's basically up here where we have adding this trade here, that would add an additional 500. Right, so up above you have the additional 500, which is by adding 30% more to just 2 of your normal 5 trades, right? What this is going to do for you here is it's going to bring in an extra $1,300 per 10 trades. Because remember, we're adding one win, right, which would take away a loss. So a loss is 300, a win is 5, right? So now instead of losing 300, right, you are winning 500. And that will bring that in there right there. So now you're up 500. Okay. So if we went over here, let's take this here. We'll just make a change. Let's back this up. We're going to take this trade to a 60% gain. Now this would become 600, and this would become 500, and there's our space. And let's go through here and just count this up. So now our losses 3, 6, 9, 12, right? So that's our 1,200 in losses, and now we have 5, 15, 3,000 in win. right? So now if we take that and we calculate that up very simply, 5, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 in wins, 3, 6, 9, 12. That is now $2,800. In profits per coin, right? So that's what we're looking at here, right? So our gains, let's take our gains. Our gains become 3,000. Our losses become 1,200. And that means when we separate this from each other, this is 1,800 per 10 trades. Okay, so now that's $800 more per 10 trades. So let's slide over here. That's 20 months a trade. That's $800 here. That's why I had that at 800 earlier. Okay, so that's $800 per 10 trades. 20 trades a month means you make that extra $800 times 2, which is $1,600, which we have here. Now, these are just two easy to do steps just from learning a curve. So the new totals go from $1,000 per coin. Okay, add $1,600 for your curve bonus. Right, so that's what you're doing here, is you're adding that 800 bucks. So it's $1,600 per month, right? And what that does for you here is now we're in a situation where you're adding the $1,600 curve bonus, right? Which is simply you learning. All right, and this is from 2 easy steps. You becoming better than average, right? Which is, it should happen naturally. Not to mention with all the extra tools, bonuses, systematic, removing emotions, etc. That's an extra $1,600 bucks. So now when we look at this, now the profits as we look to our left go from $1,000 bucks to $1,800 per 10 trades, right? Which for us right here, when we look at that and we change that over, $1,800 per coin, we're going to do that 1,800. That is 36, right? 18, 36. So now you're coming up with $36,000 a year per coin. Okay, and that's because over here, what do we have? 1,800 per coin. That makes 3,600 a month. And we can just do a calc over here real quick. Google. And this is where it's just so, when you're systematic, it's just so much. So at $3,600, 24 months a year, we make $3,600, right? Because you're going to make 1,800 times 2 times 12, right? 43,200. Okay. $43,000. $43,200 a year. So that, when I, it's so crazy to like break this down, because I'm, I mean, it's just an amazing opportunity, right? 5 trades a week, 20 trades a month system, which is 25% of your possibility. Okay, your gains are 3,000, your losses are 1,200. So now let's go back through this, right? And let's look at the possibility of when you know make the trade differences, right? 6 wins on $1,000 trade at 60%, right? And this just the basis here, and there's more. So on the left side, I'm not even adding in the extra. I'm just going to cover the basics, and I'll show you the difference here. So the 1 through 6 trades, you win one extra trade. So 500 a trade, 5, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 in total gains. Losses, 300, 3, 6, 1,200. At the end of the day, when you calculate this, profits come to $1,800 per 10 trades. Okay, these are based on 10 trades. You do that twice, that's $3,600 a month. $3,600 a month is $43,200 a year per coin. Okay, and that's with you doing 6 out of 10. You're a terrible trader. Now the bonus is over here. You can see we had 2 things that we did. Win one more trade, going from 5 out of 10 to 6 out of 10 trades. Removing one loss at 300, adding one win at 60% is plus 500, right? So that takes you up to, that's a gain of $800, right? Because now you're winning 500, not losing 3, and then adding 30% more on 2 trades, which is $250 a trade, which is plus 500. So what we have there at the end of the day is the $1,800 per coin, right? That brings in an extra sentiment here, right? Now the thing is, I'm going to take this and say, without the basics here, right? And I'm going to remove. So what we have here is winning one more trade, right? Going 6 out of 10 here, right? And removing that $300 loss, adding $500, which we've seen here, right? So we removed that loss, was 300. We added 5. That's an $800 swing in our favor. And this is not including the section that basically is taking 2 trades and adding an additional $500, right? That is where a trade goes crazy and it adds an extra 30%. So, the possibilities of an extra $500 per week, right? So let's remove this part here where you have these extra gains, right? Let's delete that. And now we go into just from a learning curve, right? Just from the learning curve. Let's go ahead and take this, right? You have the opportunity to improve on the learning curve, meaning that if you have 6 trades out of 10 that are averaging 60%, 2 of them, which is basically 1/3 of them, go for an extra 30% in profit, which is half of the in between the normal from 60 to 120. It's in the middle. So probability of that happening is very high on the lower part of the average. So this is just an extra piece. This would be an extra 30% on 2 trades per week, which would be an extra $250 on 2 trades, would be an extra $500. Now that means that just from that you would make an extra $1,000 per coin. Okay, now delete that. Now that basically means there will be an extra $1,000 on 20 trades a month. Okay, that is an additional $12,000 that you can make just by the market, doing what it normally does, the trade doing what it normally, the lowest law of average, $1,000, 20 trades, an extra $1,000, right? Which is basically just the $500 every 10 trades times 2, which is an extra $1,000 for the 20 trades on the month. 12 months equals $12,000. Now, We take that. Now we throw in 43,200 plus an extra 1,000 a month, so 12,000. And now we are at 43. Okay, so 43,200. So here you go. $1,000 times 12 months, 12,000 plus 43,200 from your basics. You have now cracked 55,200. So now when we go back here, this adds $12,000 per year per coin. New yearly is 55,200. And this is the low levels of this entire system. Based on trading one coin, 25% of the possible trades that happen, trading A trades, right, the master trades, 25% of the possible A trades per week, or 25% of the A trades per month, right? So you have 75% of the trades that you're going to miss because you're petting the dog, walking the wife, working too hard, playing with the kids, and not trading any shorts on a weekend or anything like that. Just Monday through Friday, A trades that happen, 25% of the possible A trades that happen. So 75% you will not trade because your life is too busy. You will create during this learning system an opportunity to, worst case scenario, make $43,000 a year per coin, or be a person with a slight IQ that can learn to simply be systematic versus emotional, which brings you 43,200 a year. And if you slightly learn anything, you will average an extra 30% on 2 of your 6 winning trades. All right, so basically an average of an extra 30% on 4 trades per month out of your 20 trades. So 4 out of 20, right? Once again, 20% of the total possibilities, right? You're probably going to make 90% on half of them, right? But we're going to take the 50-50 rule and go down to 20% of the 20 trades that you make, making an extra 30%, which brings your new yearly total of $55,200 per year, right? And there's what you have, making trading easy system in a nutshell. All right, very simple, very easy. Follow the system, do the A trades, stop trading emotionally, follow the step by steps. And we have all the videos set up as we're learning and talking to. And the reason why we did this breakdown here is because the mentality of the reason why people don't win, right, as AI pointed out, is that it is simply this, right? People don't understand. They focus on wins, okay? Right? They focus on wins, not probability, okay? They do not understand that a trader win rate could be 30% with larger wins and smaller losses, could be more profitable than someone that wins 60%, right? Meaning that already in the normal world, right, when you learn to move your stop losses, learn to be in the right trade, you can win 3 out of 10 trades, right? 30% win rate could be more profitable than somebody who wins 60% of the time. Do you understand? So this is basically letting you know, if you do half of what our system does and you learn how to move stop losses and just be consistent, you could do half of what we're talking about and still make your $55,000 a year. Okay, this is all based on data information over the last 100 years of traders, probably more than that, but retail traders have really came into this space over the last decade with crypto, and that you guys are terrible. And the fact is that they're so brand new. They know no systems. They know nothing. This is with 80% of the traders in this survey actually just donating money with no system, all emotions, trying to get lucky. I'd probably say probably about 90%, right? So these numbers are actually completely messed up, because you can take these numbers and double them if you removed 50% of the people who have no idea what they're doing and they're just winging it, right? So meaning that most traders with any type of ideal, any type of basics could win 50% of their trades no problem, and be in the 60% win rate absolutely no problem. And that is the average of most people who actually try to learn, apply a system, and still trade with emotions, right? So if we remove all the YOLOs and all the terrible kids that have no IQ and no ability to even study or try to even understand what's happening, these numbers would absolutely go 50% more in the favor of retail investors, of average people who actually have some type of, who watch, an average of 10 videos on how to trade, right? So this is the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. So instead of sitting around complaining that you can't do this or that it doesn't make sense, realize that the only problem that's holding you back is you, because you don't have the mentality to be a trader, because you focus on wins, not percentages, which is what I say all the time, right? Most day traders lose money. Academic industry research indicates a very low success rate of day traders, right? Because you guys are just, you don't trade, like you don't have risk management, right? Traders' overall success depends on profitable combination of win versus reward, right? Which is what we just showed you. The success of retail investors influenced by market environment. Our indicators show you when the best overall market environment is made for a trade that we're making, right? A low win rate can still be more profitable than an over loss rate, right? So this is all AI data to basically back up what I teach and train you in the making trade system. It is not the Elliott's, it's not the Fibonacci's, it's not the systems that go through. It's the having the tools that have the ability to make you confident in getting in the right trades that have a higher percentage of winning. But the key here is the mentality of knowing that you're in a systematic system that takes the highest probability with the lowest risk of winning, even if the market conditions are at their worst, which allows you to now win 50% of your 10 trades and make your higher percentages on 2 of those trades, which makes you the $55,000 on one coin per year by following the simple system, right? This is where you don't get in a trade and close a trade because you got scared, or get in a trade, right? If you're in a trade and you close it because you got scared, then you should have never been in that trade. And you need to find and listen to the system that we have. If you make a trade and panic sell before the stop loss gets hit, you should have never been in that trade, and you do not have a systematic way to make a trade, and you need to just follow the systems, follow the steps, follow the rules video that we have, and do the trades the way you're supposed to do them, and do 10 of them in a row. And then when you have the data on 10 of those trades, then you will have the ability to say, oh, I suck and I made $1,000 on these $10,000 trades. I am the worst trader possible in his system, and I just basically made my $1,000. So I'm on track to make $43,000 a year, and I am absolutely dog shit. Okay? But if you don't follow the system and you panic sell, panic close, don't take 60% gains, don't learn how to actually adjust your stop losses, right? If you don't listen to what we're doing, then that's why you're dog shit. And the person that's only to blame for that is you, because you're impatient, don't listen, don't understand, okay? Because you need to make $20,000, $40,000 a year. Well, here it is. Worst trader, $43,000 per coin, right? Learn how to make one simple move or adjustment, $55,000 a year. You want $100,000? Be the worst trader and trade 2 different coins, right? So you have $1,000 on one coin, $1,000 on another coin, and you only do the A trades that we teach you, and you will become $100,000 a year person, and you absolutely suck. So stop crying about it. Stop being negative about it. Stop trying to explain how you can't do it or you breaks and I got to figure out if I want to do this. Man, if you don't understand how easy this is, when you have a system and just say, instead of complaining, worrying, or thinking I can't, I'm just going to go and do this because I owe it to myself. Because I am looking at a crypto world that's going to make millionaires, and it already has hundreds of thousands, and more will come. And I don't want to be the guy sitting around in 3 to 5 years going, I wish I would have stayed with that because I'd have 1 million already. If that's not 1 million reasons to follow the system and do what you're supposed to do, well then, man, you weren't made to be successful and you weren't made to be rich. And that is something you need to work on in the mirror. All right, guys, good luck. God bless. I can't break it down any better than that. Thank you to AI. Unbelievable seeing the words I've been preaching for the last 5 years actually just pop up on AI. I love it. Makes my job easier. Good luck. God bless. Have a great day. And this is the Making Trading Easy system, worst student case scenario.